You've probably never heard of it. It's more expensive than gold, and now it's all the rage. But is rhodium the right investment for you? Senior metals analyst at Kitco Metals, John Nadler, joins us. John, I just want to clarify this. You are one of the consummate experts on metals. I've followed you for 23 years, sir. What about rhodium, and why is it worth anything at all?
Rhodium is a big story, in our opinion. You're looking at a metal here that is 100 times rarer than gold to begin with. And yet it's trading only at about 3 times the price, more or less. It reached $10,000 an ounce just in summer of 2000.
But what do we use it for?
We use it to clean up emissions from every gasoline and diesel burning engine that you can think of, whether it's a moped to, a luxury SUV. And obviously the car industry is something like 80% of total demand in rhodium. But the entire market is only about 900,000 ounces annually. So you're talking about really a recovery story here as economies come back to life and car sales revive from their nuclear winter, driven primarily by markets like China and India right now, where car sales are roaring ahead.
So you just mentioned there's very limited supply and limited new mining of this at all. Is it mined? How do they get it out of the ground, or what do they make it from anyway?
Actually, there is really no dedicated rhodium mine in existence. When you go digging for platinum or palladium or nickel, you run into rhodium. 70% of what's mined comes from South Africa, the remainder from Russia. So both of these are tenuous sources of supply. Russia doesn't even disclose their stockpiles. South Africa's had power supply problems last year, labor problems continually, potential threat of nationalization of mines. So you're not looking at a market that has a certainty of supply coming in. On the other side, you're looking at a metal that a car maker cannot possibly substitute with any cheaper metal. Let's say that platinum's too expensive. Well, they can switch to palladium. Rhodium, on the other hand, is the only metal that removes the nitrous oxides from car tailpipe emissions, so you can't substitute it, so they must buy it at any price.
Well, a couple of things that you brought up there that as a average, me being the Main Street investor, that I'm concerned about. One, you mentioned that 70% of it comes from South Africa, and as we know, it's a very volatile situation there. You mentioned some of the things of concern there. In the past 2 years, it's been as high as you mentioned, 10,000 to as low as 760. I mean, are you recommending this for the average investor as part of my retirement fund?
No, I think by all means what we look at in terms of precious metals overall is, first and foremost, we look at a core portfolio holding of gold as long-term insurance against the unforeseen, obviously as a capital preservation tool. Once you have that core position in and you don't treat it as a trade, obviously you can look at white metals, noble metals as a potential return item.
John, what kind of value is this? What am I holding right here?
You're holding about, $500,000 worth of rhodium.
$500,000 worth of metal here in this one
liter of a coke bottle.
It looks like a bunch of the Philip Etch sketch.
Throw me that. What are you selling?
This is a 1 ounce jar of rhodium, which we're introducing.
How much is this?
That's about a $3,100 holding.
$3,000 in the
$3,000 right there.
So let's talk a little bit more about the application of this. I mean, there got to be. I know Corning is active in this, in the emissions. I don't know, controlling industry. Who else is actually putting this in products that I could actually go then invest in some companies perhaps that will benefit from a?
Well, as far as mining companies, there are really about a handful of names, and we're talking about Anglo Plat.
What about manufacturers though?
Manufacturers, yes. There's refiners like Johnson Matthey out there. There's market makers like Heraeus and others. The actual users.
Auto supplier that focuses.
You would look at basically the auto supply exactly, and then the car makers themselves go out and buy inventory.
So how do I invest in this metal right here?
This is the actual. This is the actual physical metal you would buy from us, and we put it into safekeeping for you on your behalf. You pay something like 0.5% per annum for custody, which is fully insured. But what it does is it gives you very good liquidity by not taking possession, because this is a nasty substance. This is airborne at any time. It's highly static electrically charged, so you don't want to open these bottles and run around with them.
And John, you said that 80% is used in the automobile industry. I mean, that seems to be a very volatile industry as well, very unpredictable. I mean, some of the automakers here in this country, they're predicting they won't survive. People are buying fewer cars, and they used to sell, 14 million a year, now it's down to about 10 million. So you're relying on other countries
We're relying
buying
on the
cars.
bricks at the moment, obviously, because North America and Western Europe, we believe, will come out of this nuclear winter of gimmicks like cash for clunkers and so on, and car sales will come back to 16, 18 million units per annum invariably.
Without
I look
subsidies?
for a year or two, without subsidies, actually.
We just need to point out, though, if an electric vehicle doesn't need rhodium, does it?
There's really no car technology that you can put a hybrid car or a fuel cell car out there that doesn't employ some of the noble metals in the applications. Obviously, it's not going to be a scenario where people go out cutting catalytic converters from parked cars as they did 2 years ago,
Right.
But you still need these noble metals to build any car.
When I did
Good thing we're
Google,
selling them.
it said something about jewelry, too. Is it?
It can be used as alloys, of
applications?
course.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good thing we're taking this off the market so that there's even less supply.
Jeez.
There you are. Now you can compete with the car
John Nadler,
makers.
thank you very much.